enforces the thought of the first. So, in fact, let me show you here in Psalm 24. This is a Psalm of David. The earth is the Lord's and everything in it. Now, here's the second phrase, the world and all who live in it. You see that? The first phrase is reinforced by the second. Verse 2, for he founded upon the seas and established it upon the waters. He founded upon the seas, first phrase, second phrase, and established it upon the waters. Reinforces the first. Who may ascend to the hill of the Lord? Who may stand in his holy place? First phrase, second phrase, enforced. So in this kind of parallelism called synonymous parallelism, the same thing is repeated in different words. The second member enforces the thought of the first. Okay, that's a pattern of rhythm in Hebrew poetry. The second kind is antithetic parallelism. What would you guess that would mean? Synthetic reinforces, so antithetic does what?
Gives the opposite.
Okay, pretty close. Contrast. The thought of the first line is emphasized by contrasting it with the second. Look here, Psalm 1 is one of the Psalms that does that. For the Lord watches over the way of the righteous, and here's the key word that it's an antithetic parallelism, but the way of the wicked will perish. And you should have been with us yesterday. I was speaking at some rallies this was yesterday morning in where we're in Highland, up in Ash Flat Hardy area, and it was for a 9/11 memorial rally, and I was attempting to quote Dwight Eisenhower, who said, "History does not long entrust freedom to the timid or the weak." It's one of my favorite quotes. And a little tired, I think, yesterday morning. I think we left the house like 6:30 or something yesterday morning, and when I get a little tired, I have a little dyslexia that kicks in. And so I was going to pound that one home. That was the high point of my speech. I was driving it home, and I said, as Dwight Eisenhower said, history does not long entrust freedom to the women or the weak. And boy, you could fit it all over the whole place. And I said, oh, I'm sorry, hang on. Because I think it was probably 75% women in the crowd. So I told him about being at summer camp when I was a kid. We had this real high-powered evangelist one summer, and he was preaching about Jonah. And he went through he was going through his sermon, and he said, and Jonah was in the whelly of a whale. And he said, no, I don't mean that. I mean the whale's whelly. So anyway, that's what I'm doing here today. Okay, so here it is. What is antithetic parallelism? Contrast. For the Lord watches over the way of the righteous, but the way of the wicked will perish. Psalm 37, another one. For evil men will be cut off, but those who hope in the Lord will inherit the land. So there's a contrast. That's one of the reasons. The second thought of the first line, the thought of the first line is emphasized by contrasting thought of the second. The third most common form of rhythm in Hebrew poetry is called synthetic parallelism. Is that right? Did I have that right?
Symbolic.
Yeah, symbolic.
Synonymous.
Synonymous, yeah, okay. Okay. Synthetic. The second member explains or adds something to the first. The first one was what? Synonymous, where the first thought is reinforced. The second one is antithetic, where there's contrast. The third one is synthetic, where something is built on it. Right, it adds. Here's Psalm 19. The heavens declare the glory of God. The skies proclaim the work of his hands. First statement builds, the second one builds on it. Day after day they pour forth speech, builds on it. Night after night they display knowledge. There is no speech or language which their voice is not heard. Their voice goes out into all the earth, their words to the ends of the world. In the heavens he has pitched a tent for the sun, which is like a bridegroom coming forth from the pavilion, like a champion rejoicing to run his course. And so that's what you're going to see as we go through these songs. You're going to see that pattern. And then, I forgot I had this verse. It rises at one end of the heavens and makes its circuit to the other. Nothing is hidden from its heat. The law of the Lord is perfect. Here's a classic one. reviving the soul, the statutes of the Lord are trustworthy, making the wise simple. That's the concept. So as we go through these songs, understand that's what's happening. And a lot of what is being written is to conform to the form. Does that make sense? So let's watch for it. Okay. Another device used by Hebrew composers is an alphabetic acrostic. What does that mean? Alphabetic acrostic.
We use the first letter of words.
Right, use the alphabet and make an acrostic with it, okay? One entire book in the Old Testament conforms to this arrangement. Believe it or not, there is a book in the Old Testament, and the entire book, every verse, is an acrostic on the Hebrew alphabet. It's this one, which may explain its title. It's an entire book is an acrostic, an alphabetical acrostic using the Hebrew alphabet. There are 9 alphabetical psalms, and here they are listed. The most spectacular one is Psalm 119, which is the longest chapter in all the Bible. There are 22 sections in Psalm 119, and each section has 8 verses. And in each of those sections, in each of the 8 verses, every verse begins with the same Hebrew letter. And then each section starts with a new Hebrew letter. So there are 22 characters in the Hebrew alphabet, and each of these sections in Psalm 119 is an acrostic in the Hebrew alphabet. So this is, interesting if you like this stuff, and it's not if you don't. Okay. Well, I got 2 slides of that one. Now, this songbook, which is also called a psalter, okay, is divided into 5 books, and I'm almost through with the technical stuff here, okay? There are 5 books in Psalms. Book 1 is Psalms 1 through 41. Book 2, Psalms 42 through 72. Book 3, 73 through 89. Book 4, 90 through 106. Book 5, 107 through 150. And here are the Psalms David wrote in each one of these books. 37 out of Book 1. So almost all the Psalms in the first 41 chapters are David's. 18, 1, 2, 15, and then 73. So David wrote 73 of the 150 Psalms. And by the way, let me just say one thing. If you want to do a quiet time that is very refreshing and very fulfilling, use the book of Psalms. There are 150 of them, and basically you can read through them once every 5 months. Okay? 5 times 30, 150. And then you can start over again. And I've been doing this in my quiet time, regardless of what else I'm reading. And I may be reading some of the book in the Old Testament or reading through some book in the New Testament. This has always been part of my quiet time. So I have no idea how many times I've read through the Psalms. But it's so simple because on day 1 you can read Psalm 1. And on day 2 you can read Psalm 2. And then the second month you can read Psalm 31 and Psalm 32. The third month you can read Psalm 61. Psalm 62 next as you go through. So, fabulous quiet time. Place to do your quiet time. Excuse me. So that's it today. That's the